Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video, we're taking a look at the Google Pixel 9a. Available at Best Buy now, this is Google's latest mid-range smartphone that is bolstered by all the Gemini AI features. The Pixel 9a is not a device full of surprises. It follows the trends that have been laid out by the models that have come before, which is to take certain features that come from the flagship models that trickle down to the A series. Other than really some minor changes in terms of how the design, so you get flatter edges and a slightly larger screen, for the most part, the design philosophy largely stays the same. Yes, the back is different, so that camera bar is gone and it's replaced by the same sort of look that we've seen from the other Pixel 9 devices. I personally like the flatter edges. I find that it's easier to hold the phone and definitely better for taking photos. Speaking of photos, that has traditionally been the value proposition of an A-series phone. So a Pixel A-series phone has always been getting some of those features from the flagship devices and bringing them over to something like this, which is a much more affordable. That is not necessarily the value proposition in this case. It is part of it, but the main thing here is the AI features. So Gemini, led by Gemini, which is taking over from Google Assistant and is basically all of the AI story for Google when it comes to its mobile devices. And here, that is no exception. Much of this is headed up by the Google Tensor G4 processor. So this is the same chipset, by the way, that's used by the rest of the Pixel 9 series. So in a sense, they're using the same hardware, but the features are not exactly the same. Two particular AI features are call notes, so recording a phone call and then transcribing the call, and pixel screenshots. So this is where you can take screenshots and then Gemini will just sort of pluck information from those screenshots and just give them to you. Those are not available. So those two are available on the other phones, but they're not available on the 9A. But the rest of the Gemini package is. That includes things like Pixel Studio. So Pixel Studio is a generative AI app that you can use to create images on your own. These can include also certain pop culture icons, Spider-Man in particular, but for the most part, it is based just on whatever it is that you want to type into the prompt and then create. There are some limitations here, particularly because Gemini is, there's a free version and then there is a Gemini Advanced. So there's a sort of a pro version, if you will. Unlike the Pixel 9 series, or the rest of the Pixel 9 phones that will give you a year of Advanced, you only get a month of Advanced in this phone. The reason why that matters is because with Advanced, you can actually use prompts to create more things that you can't with the free version. That's particular for people and for using your own photos. For example, if you want to create something that included your photo into it. You can't do that with this device after a month unless you're willing to pay, and it's not an inexpensive expense, to be honest with you. Now, the rest of the AI package, of course, includes some of the photo editing features. So Magic Editor is the umbrella, but ultimately that includes things like Magic Eraser, which we've all known and Google has marketed for a long time now. That still works the same way. So again, because of the Tensor G4 chipset and some of the NPU that's also involved here, that is taking some of that neural process away from the CPU, you get features like that for the most part work the same way that they would with the rest of the Pixel 9 phones. So I haven't experienced a huge difference in that way between all of them. So the 9A is more or less in line with those, but they're just those other factors. But they're not the same when it comes to photography. So here's where things get a little bit tricky. There is a different image sensor on this phone. Now I'm talking about the main camera in the rear. It is different. It's actually smaller than the one that was in the Pixel 8a. And so again, don't get confused by the megapixel counts, because that's not really the main story here. The main story is just the physical size of the sensor. So it's actually smaller in this. Google made a wider aperture in the main lens to bring in more light to offset the fact that the sensor is smaller. For the most part, look, you'll get good photos with this. I think if you're more of a snapshot type of photographer, I think you'll be perfectly fine with a lot of the photos that you take. But again, you'll notice that it doesn't do as well, or it doesn't live up entirely to the Pixel name in some respects. So low light shots, for example, can be hit or miss. If it's more of a static subject, it's fairly well lit, it'll be okay. But if it's not, then the results are not going to be that great. But again, with good lighting, you'll get good shots. Now the ultra wide is okay. It's actually exactly the same as the Pixel 8a. There's no difference. And that also goes for the front-facing camera as well. Totally the same, exactly the same as the Pixel 8a. No difference whatsoever. So really, when it comes to the camera, we're looking at the main lens or the main camera being the only differentiator from the previous model. All that said, now battery life, the battery in this is actually quite big for the size of the phone. And yet, I don't know that I was wowed by the battery life that much. I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. You should be able to get through a day, but don't be surprised that if you are gaming on it or you're doing any, things that are somewhat intensive and get the processor going, because again, the processor is cool, but it's not a super strong processor. So again, it doesn't tax battery life as much, but it doesn't enable you to do perhaps all the great things that you might be able to do on some more premium phones. And that's my review of the Google Pixel 9a. You can check out more about it by clicking the link below. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.